if he's here or not. But now you a single mom. Now you a single mom.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Well, hello everybody, Anthony here. Welcome back to the 2025 debut of the Single Parents Podcast. This is the podcast for anybody whose life may have turned out a little less than traditional. Glad to have you all with us on the show today. Today on the show, we're reviewing a song that I came across. Directed towards single mothers, so that should be interesting. I have another also little statement that I came across I would like to kind of break down with you all. And then if you stick around to the end of the show, we like to call that segment Deeply Single, where we just check in on you, maybe get a little deep, maybe get a little intimate, and just see how we're all doing. But that's for later in the show. For now, a few things I'd like to ask you to do before we get into that good. The first thing is maybe consider subscribing to the podcast. That way you never miss an episode in this brand new year going forward. It's quick, it's easy, it's free. You got this. Good? Cool. Next, maybe consider sharing the podcast with a friend, with a family member, with a neighbor. That way we can build the community that is this show and have more voices and more perspectives represented. And then last but not least, only do this if you think the show's worthy, but maybe consider leaving a tasty review, 5 stars, highest rating possible of the show on your favorite platform. That way we can tell those algorithms out there that the show is legit and it'll pass it along to more people. All right, let's check out the song. Let's check out the song one more time. All right, so let's see here. A little while ago, basically, how I came across this song. Okay, actually, let me just get into it first. Just so you're aware, the song that we're going to be talking about, the song we're actually going to be reviewing, we're reviewing this song on the pod today. It is called Now You a Single Mom, or Now You a Single Mom, by Brandon Jamal. That's Brandon Jamal. And well, here I'm looking at it. It's one word, no spaces, Brandon Jamal, right there. And I came across this song, and I think actually, how did I come across this song? I believe it was through TikTok. I think that this whole music video of the song, you can watch it on YouTube, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I think I came through it from TikTok because, you know what it was? So me, being a single parent content creator, I like to stay in the loop as to what the conversation is about our demographic out there. I like to assess the vibes from time to time. So I'll check out other videos and stuff from other either single parent content creators or just creators who happen to be single parents and kind of see what's up. So I would go through videos, particularly videos of like single moms, and I would see comments pop up from mostly men. Yeah, I know. Shocker. Leaving comments in these mothers' comment sections, basically shaming them with statements saying, ha ha ha, now you a single mom, or something like that. And I saw it enough to kind of use context clues to put together the fact that, okay, this is like from something. This is like a meme almost at this point. So from there, I was able to kind of work my way back and see that those statements, those comments, those memes were coming from this song, Now You a Single Mom, from Brandon Jamal. And so I was like, okay, let me go check this out, because obviously this Brandon Jamal, the Brandon Jamal, he's got to be, I'm one of the greatest musical minds of our time, right? This, I'm sure, multi-Grammy award-winning Brandon Jamal, global superstar sensation, Brandon Jamal, Taylor Swift, Sabrina Carpenter, Harry Styles? No. Those might as well be local participants in a small town community talent show compared to the Brandon Jamal. So I checked out his song, I gave it a listen, and we're going to kind of break it down. And I was thinking about like playing the whole song so y'all could check it out, but a couple of reasons why I'm not doing that. First is copyright. I don't know if the Brandon Jamal has those lawyers looming around his song like vultures waiting to slap a copyright claim on anybody who uses his genius. So I'll just kind of let you all go. You can go check it out on your own if you want. Again, it's on YouTube. It's not very hard to find. Came out like 8 months ago. But also just because like we'll talk about the song and I'll kind of share some lyrics from the song, but like I'm totally cool with this podcast being edgy, being a little explicit, saying what we need to say, especially when we have guests. We get raw, we get real. But even I try to have a little taste, a little class on some of the stuff that we say in the podcast because we don't want to offend too many people out there who might be a little sensitive to some of the word choices that Brandon Jamal uses in this song. So, for the sake of respecting our audience, for the sake of not having to deal with lawyers, we'll just break down the song ourselves. And then if you want the full context, you can go find that yourself. So yeah, let's just do this real quick. All right. So what I am going to do, I am going to read, I guess, like the first part of the song. I know like musical professionals listening to this, there's like a certain word for different parts of a song, chorus, or I don't know, stanza. Maybe that's poems. I don't really know. But because I don't know, educate me in the comment section what the first part of a song is. That it's the first part, then some other stuff, and then that part repeats and whatever. I'm just gonna read that first part. But out of respect for the work of Brandon Jamal, I'm going to treat these very profound and deep words kind of like a poem. So I'm not going to try to sing this, obviously, because you wouldn't keep listening to the podcast. You'd turn it off so quick. But I will give it the respect that I'm sure Brandon Jamal deserves. All right, so here's the first part of the song. It says, "You let him hit it raw. You didn't have second thoughts. Now you're a single mom. Now you're a single mom. You said, I'ma have this kid. Don't care if he's here or not. But now you're a single mom. Now you're a single mom. Now you're single. Show the baby off. Show the baby off. Showing the baby off. Now you a single mom." I'm holding for applause. Thank you. I try to do the utmost respect for the source material. So hopefully that translated through my reading of the piece. So let's talk about this song. What do I think about this song? It's the review side of the show. Let me get my critic hat on. There's a couple positives I'd say about the song. We're just gonna be honest. We keep it real on here on the SPP. First thing that I actually kind of liked about the song was like the beat, the catchiness of the song. Yeah, it's one of those songs where you like it or not, if you listen to it enough times, like I had to do to prepare for this podcast, it's going to get stuck in your head. I'm not going to lie. I listened to it like 2 or 3 times prepping for the podcast last night. And then I went to go hang out with some friends later that evening. And so I just found myself kind of like, I didn't know the words for the songs. I wasn't really singing along, but I was just kind of like, na 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 na. Like, one of those things. It's like we just got out of like the holiday season, so you get like those Christmas songs involuntarily stuck in your head, or you're watching like an ad or a commercial and they have like a sweet jingle that gets stuck in your head, or you have kids and they're watching something on TV or YouTube or whatever, and the little kid song or the theme song to whatever show they're watching gets stuck in your head. Like, you don't choose for that to happen. You don't say, I want this piece of media ingrained into my brain to where I can't think about anything else, or it just repeats like a bad loop. It just sort of happens. And so this song, I'd say falls into that. It has a pretty good beat, pretty good music, pretty good track. I do give that to Brandon Jamal. Another thing I did like, I respect rather, is the fact that if you watch like the music video of the song, Brandon Jamal he has like a big wad of cash. It's probably fake. Actually, I'm assuming that it's fake cash. And he's rapping the lyrics to the song, but he's doing out in public in the middle of traffic. So it looks real. I don't like as much as I'm sure Brandon Jamal is a multi-billionaire musical artist. I would assume he didn't go all out for the CGI to make it look like he was doing his thing in traffic. I'm assuming he got practical. He said, no, we're filming this on location. We're going in the middle of downtown and we are shooting this thing in one take. I'm sure he only did that in one take too. So I give respect to that because as a content creator myself, I know how nerve-wracking it can be sometimes shooting content in public around that many people, especially next to a busy area where there's a lot of traffic. Like I'm sure people were looking and honking. Actually, they probably had to have so much security because I'm sure everybody wanted to rush Brandon Jamal and just get those autographs and to have him do TikToks with them and sign their babies and all these things. I'm sure they had to barricade. They probably had to shut down the whole city block for that, I'm sure. So I do respect that. And then, I guess I don't know if this is a positive about the song, but I will say that it did make me kind of giggle and chuckle a little bit just because of, like, I know I've been kind of silly and ironic this whole time, but of the fact that I do believe that it is okay for us as single parents or just as people in general not to always take ourselves so seriously sometimes. Like, it is okay to be silly and goofy and to even sometimes be all right with, like, poking fun at ourselves a little bit. Like, I don't know if that's what Brandon Jamal's intentions behind this was. Like, I don't really know. I guess I could have done some research to figure out what inspired him to produce this piece before recording the podcast, but I didn't. But I just didn't want to go into listening to it like fully angry and fully offended and fully pissed off and being like, I'm going to get on the show and I'm going to cancel Brandon Jamal, because I think I've shared this on the podcast multiple times. I know it. One of my big motivations for starting the show and kind of giving it the vibes that we have here is because I originally went searching for like positive, fun, uplifting single parent content, if you will, and there's just not a ton of like stuff that can just be like cool with just having fun sometimes. Again, maybe poking fun at ourselves sometimes, because a lot of single parent content is just, it's so sad and it's so serious and woe is me, oh, I'm a single mom making my birthday cake by myself, or I'm a single dad and I don't know what to do. Like, I'm not saying our reality is not hard. It's not exhausting. It's not challenging. It's not lonely. It's not a lot of things. But I do believe that there are circumstances and times where we can just not take ourselves so doom and gloom sometimes. And we can see the positives of life, or we can have a little fun, or we can joke around, because that's how we're going to endure through some of those long, hard, tough, exhausting days, right? Sometimes we just need to find ways to smile and to relax a little bit and to chill a little bit and to remind ourselves like, hey, through this, we can laugh, we can have fun, because I know at the end of the day, I'm confident, I'm hot, I'm a baddie, I'm a single mom, or I'm a single dad, and I'm doing this thing, and I'm taking care of my kids, and I'm going to work, and I'm paying the bills, and I put a roof over my kids' head, and my kids are eating, and whatever the context of that looks like for you, like maybe you're barely just scraping by, but you're doing it. Maybe you're thriving. That's awesome. Maybe you're on your way up and you're figuring stuff out. We love to see it, but we can have confidence in ourselves and know that, cool, we're legit. We got this. So I think in a weird way, this song reminded me of that and reminded me of the fact that, you know what, like, we don't always have to be so angry and upset at everything because of our context. Because I think that ultimately, Sure, it came from the song, but those comments I was talking about from the commenters who would use this song as like a way to almost like shame and poke fun at single moms or single parents who made content on TikTok or whatever. I think that's what they expect us to be, right? They expect us always to be sad and depressed and miserable about our circumstance, and they get off, honestly, in a weird way, seeing us in that down state. But they don't realize that, you know what? A lot of us are thriving, and a lot of us are cool with our circumstance, and a lot of us would actively choose our circumstance over other circumstances, because the way that we're living life, sure, it might not be conventional and traditional, but we're doing it and we're doing our thing, and that's nothing to be, oh, you're a single mom. Now you're a single mom. So sad. Second class citizen. No, no. So I understand. So I appreciate the song for reminding me of that, I guess we could say. The other aspects of the song, like what's interesting about the song is like it's very just not very nuanced, I guess you could say. We could start getting into the critiques. It's just not very much nuance to the song, because ultimately, if you go on to listen to the rest of the song, it talks about the fact that, hey, you're a single mom because you chose this, because basically you don't want to respect any men, yet you're always getting with the men, and you want to be strong and independent, but you just want to let guys do anything they want to you, and now you have all these kids, and now you got to do this, and now you got to do that, and now you're bitter, now you're angry, now you're, yeah, all these things as a single mom. And that's the part I don't like about the song, is that it just has no nuance to it, because yes, again, if we can be honest on the show, we can not take ourselves so seriously, we can be truthful. Are there single parents out there, single moms and single dads, who are nothing but angry and bitter and spiteful and roller coaster? Like, I don't need anybody yet hooking up with somebody every other weekend and having people come in and out of their kids' lives, and kids all over the place just because they can't figure out their own selves. Are there single parents like that? Yeah, there are. And if that's you, like, we welcome you on the show. We love you on the show. We're not going to judge, but the reality is, like, that's what happens. And that's why some people are in single parent circumstances, is because they just haven't figured out some stuff that they probably need to figure out. And now this is kind of their life. But that's not all single parents, right? There's a lot of people who are single parents for reasons maybe even outside of their control. They're single parents because maybe they did have a partner or a spouse and that person passed away, who did have a partner or a spouse, and they would have stuck around, but them sticking around meant that that home environment would have been toxic and unhealthy and maybe even unsafe for the other single parent and the children, so they had to get out of there. Maybe they're a single parent. Maybe they're just a single parent by full choice. Maybe through adoption or through surrogacy or through whatever different means. Maybe they just say like, hey, I've always wanted to be a mom, always wanted to be a dad, just didn't really want to deal with the whole marriage or partner thing. That was just never something I saw myself as. But I did see myself as a parent, and so now I'm a single mom or a single dad just because I don't want to be in a committed relationship, but I do want to raise a child. So there's a lot of reasons as to why somebody might be a single parent, or maybe it's just because, you know what, at the end of the day, I was in a relationship with somebody and it just didn't work out. No drama, no violence, no abuse, no drugs or alcohol, no toxicity, no death, no any crazy story. It's just straight up, I was with somebody, didn't work out. Now we're cool as friends, or we're cool apart, co-parenting a kid, but at the end of the day, that's just kind of how it is. So it's not always Brandon Jamal. Is that his name? I already forgot this guy's name. It's Brandon Jamal. It's not Brandon Jamal. It's not always the angry, bitter woman who is just a mess, who ends up a single mom. There's a lot of great, fantastic single moms out there by choice or circumstance who are legit and thriving and doing their thing and don't fall into the stereotype and the cliche that is this song. I think that's probably my biggest critique or my biggest peeve with this song is that whatever his intentions behind making it, maybe it's supposed to be stereotype, maybe it's supposed to be satirical, maybe it's supposed to be parody, maybe I don't really know. But at the end of the day, stuff like this does further harmful stereotypes about single parents, that they are all bitter and angry and just out for blood and vengeful and sad and hopeless and pathetic and all these different things, especially single moms. I guess I want to camp on that for a second, because the public perception of single moms versus single dads is very different and very unfairly different, I might say, because a person can look at a single dad and be like, okay, look, what's he doing? Oh, he took his kids to the park. He took his kids out to McDonald's. He took his kids on a little trip for the weekend. Oh, applause, applause. Great guy, great dad. He's showing up. He's present. He's all these things. We love to see it. We love to see it. And a single mom could be doing all those things, and it's just like, oh, well, she's just a mess because look at her. She's all by herself at the park with her kids, or she's taking her kids to McDonald's. Oh, so unhealthy. She's a bad mom. Or she's taking her kids away for the weekend. Oh, she's just all these different things. And so the different sides of it are very, very messed up. So propelling these harmful stereotypes about women, about single moms, not the coolest, not the best, don't love to see that. So at the end of the day, what would I say? What would be my final review about Now You a Single Mom by Brandon Jamal as a song, as a catchy thing that can get stuck in your head? Okay, cool, like it's nice. But at the end of the day, no, we don't love to see content that can fuel, especially the scumbags online, to feel so comfortable saying and shaming single mothers who are probably out there just doing the best they can. A lot of them. Again, there's some of them who have to figure some stuff out, but for a majority of them out there, I'm sure they're just doing the best they can, and this probably doesn't help. So that's my review. So the next thing I want to talk about came from this post I saw, I think on Facebook or something, who knows. But it says, you're not a single mother if the father is active. You're a single woman. So basically what this is getting at is they're not saying you should call yourself a single parent. Let's just do both sides. You should not call yourself a single parent if the other parent is involved in the child's life. So you're not a real single dad if you have 50-50 custody with the kid's mom and she's active and she's involved and she's doing all these things. And you're not a single mom if the dad is around and he's contributing and he's helping and he's blah 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 blah. And so we kind of feel like we talk about this at least once a year on the show. So I guess this is the 2025 version of this conversation, but it's good to rehash. It's good to talk about. But basically how I address comments like this is I say that there's a difference between an only parent and a single parent. And they can kind of like intertwine a little bit, and I'll break down here in a second, but there's a difference between an only parent and a single parent. Not all single parents are only parents, but all only parents are single parents. Does that make sense? Basically, what I mean by that is not all single parents are the only parent involved in the child's life. Maybe there is shared custody. Maybe there is some other dynamic to where the mom or the dad they're both raising the kid together in a co-parenting situation. And so for me, this is where I fall into. I'm a single dad, but I co-parent with my girls' mom. So I'm not the only parent involved in my girls' life. Their mom, super, 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 super involved. She has the kids half the time. If I have the kids and I need help with something, I can call her up, and regardless of, I'm using air quotes, whose time it is, we're going to show up for our kids, and we're going to work together. And so am I 100% by myself raising my kids. It's just me. I have no help whatsoever. No, because again, I do know if something went down, and for example, I'm raising girls, and as my girls get older, there's stuff about them that I just is like, I don't know what to do. I'm stumped. I'm perplexed. What do I do with their hair? How do I get them ready for this event? Or they're upset about this thing. How do I reassure them? And so I'll just get a hold of their mom, and then she's like, "All right, dude, don't worry. I got this. I'm either coming over, or here's what you need to go do. Here's the type of hair product you need to go buy." And so that is nice. That is awesome. I do appreciate that. But there are only parents who are parents that are the only parent in their kids' life for either a majority of the time or 24/7, 365. So I know people who, regardless of the day, regardless of the time, regardless of the season, they have their kids with them no matter what. So it's just them because maybe the other parent passed away, or maybe the other parent completely walked out, or maybe custody wise, the other parent just can't be involved for different legal reasons. And so that mom or that dad is just doing it solo. So there's no calling the other parent up like, "Hey, I need a break. Can you come help?" There's no, "Hey, let's meet up at 6 before little Timmy's performance and take him to dinner." It's just that parent. But I would consider both those situations single parents. And I think what this post is getting at is they would disagree that single parents are actually single parents if they do have the other person involved. And I would say no, because I think you can still be a single parent and co-parent and have the other person around, because there's elements of the parenting life, the single parenting life, that you still got to work through and figure out regardless of the other parent's involvement or not. Like, for example, the other parents, most likely, if you have like a situation like mine, the other parent's not living in your house. The other parent's probably not paying all your bills. The other parent's probably, you're not dating the other parent. The other parent's not going to help you and engage with you on your probably particular emotions, depending on your circumstance sometimes. So all those things you got to kind of figure out yourself when it's just you at the end of the day, and when you have to figure out your bills, and when you got to figure out your next steps for whatever. Those are things that single parents, as the only adult in their house, have to navigate, have to think through. How do I think through dating? How do I think through finances? How do I think through self-care? All those things still have to be worked through as a single parent, regardless of your co-parenting situation. Only parents, people who have their kids all the time, just them, they have to work through a lot of those same things, and maybe to a higher degree, because on top of all the other stuff that we have to work through as single parents, they also have to have their kids by their sides all the time. They don't really get a break to even process a lot of that. And so I would agree that maybe there's extra level of challenge to being an only parent, but I wouldn't say that single parents aren't real single parents if they have the other parent involved in the picture. I think that is just naive to what single parents actually go through. I think it kind of diminishes just the reality of the personhood that is the single parent, and all the emotions and feelings and struggles that it takes still being a single parent. Regardless of the co-parenting situation, to where I found another post I'm going to read because I thought this was really impactful. It says this: "I pretend that being a single mom isn't as hard as people say, but it's the hardest and loneliest struggle I've ever been through." I wanted to bring that up in light of the first post that I kind of talked about, because that is the reality, is that being a single parent, we sometimes make it seem like, oh, we're tough, we're strong, we got this figured out. And so maybe on the outside, people who wrote that first post look and be like, see, they're not really struggling. They're not really, it's not really that hard being a single parent. The mom's still involved, the dad's still involved. Stop crying. Now you a single mom, all those type of things. But at the end of the day, sometimes even when we do look like we have all our crap together and we are strong, and sometimes we have to put on that front for the sake of our kids or even the sake of ourselves just to make it through the day, The fact of the matter is that there are times where it's just a real struggle, especially when it comes to like loneliness. Because yes, it's nice having that dynamic of the other parent to help as a team work together to do what's best for your kid. But when it comes to you as a person, there's stuff to be figured out. Because at the end of the day, my whole identity is not just a dad. Like that's a part of my identity, but it's not my full identity. Anthony is made up of lots of different aspects and truths and facts and things that make me me. Being a dad is a big, big part of what makes me me, but it's not the whole part. And so when it comes to those other aspects of who I am, I have to figure that out. And sometimes figuring that out by yourself can be lonely and exhausting and can be rough sometimes. And maybe you experience that as a single parent, and maybe you're experiencing that now as a single parent. And maybe at the start of this new year, a lot of people go in like, yes, new year, new me, we're doing this, here's the goals, here's everything we're striving for, going to the gym, I'm looking good, social media has me on top. But maybe there's some of you heading into this new year with a lot of anxiousness, a lot of fear, a lot of dread. Looking back, you're like, man, the last year or two has been hard. I don't know if I can flip the calendar and do this again. The last year or two has been lonely. I don't know if I can flip the calendar and do this again. The last year or two has been exhausting. I don't know if I can flip the calendar and do this again. If that's you, I just want you to know that you're not alone. Even though you might feel super, super lonely in this role as a single mom or single dad, you're not alone. That's what we have this podcast here for. That's what we have this community here for. I'm sure there's plenty of people that are feeling the same feelings, working through the same stuff. And we're here for you. We're here for you. This is what the show's all about. We're here for you, listener. If this is you needing to hear this, we are here for you. So keep your head up. Don't listen to these commenters who want to downplay your reality and say, oh, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. Don't listen to the Brandon Jamals out there. You keep doing the best you can. Keep your head up and know that you can come back to this community as much as you want every single week, and just know that you got some support. You got some people here who think you're hot, who think you're awesome, you are doing the thing. And we got you. So I just wanted to kind of use those couple of posts to remind us of that, to kind of prep us for this next segment that we're about to head in, where we really just see how you're doing as we do head into 2025. All right, so now we're at the part of the podcast we like to call Deeply Single. This is the part of the show where we get deep. As the single parents that we are, we get a little deep, we get a little real, we check in on ourselves, we see how we're doing, we get maybe intimate, if you will, and kind of just do some self-assessment. How are we doing, people? How are you doing? How are you filling your name? How are you doing? New year, lot of stuff to think about when it comes to that. So I really want you just to think about, how are you doing? Because part of the show is acknowledging the fact that as single parents, as the only adults in our house, we sometimes don't have other people asking us how we're doing all the time, especially if our kids are little and they just don't have the social awareness to ask us how we're doing all the time, because they're just developing and require a lot. But how are you doing? New year. For me, the end of 2024, because I know we took a little break at the end of last year. The end of 2024 was exciting, I guess, because I'm going to talk about this more in depth on next week's episode. So I don't want to kind of jump the gun a little bit as to why I'm saying it was exciting. But basically, I just looked ahead at 2025, looked at some things I want for myself, my kids, and even the show for us, and put some cool things into motion that I've been working really, 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 really hard to enter into, that require a lot of work and sacrifice and risk, and it's just cool. We'll talk about it more next week, but it is exciting jumping into something that hopefully will propel into something new, but it is scary because I just know whatever decision I make for me, it's ultimately going to come back and impact my kids And especially being the only adult in the house, there's extra fear of like, if this doesn't work out, I don't have my spouse next to me saying, you know what, babe, you go for this, you try this, because if not, or if it doesn't work out for a little bit, then my job or my career, we can kind of use that to keep us afloat going forward. We'll do this as a team. Don't worry. Nope. When you jump into something as a single parent, it's just you. And if it doesn't work, ooh, not good. But if it does work, that's cool. That's awesome. But I just kind of had to assess. Actually, you know what I had to do? Our theme for the end of last year was why not? We were in our why not era. We said, why not go for the thing, do the thing, be the thing? So I put that into practice one last time before 2024 ended, and I said, why not? Let me go for this, and it's going to be awesome. Again, we'll talk about that next week, so make sure you're subscribed. But I had to do a little scaling back a little bit because I was doing a lot. I was stepping into something that I'll talk about in the future. I was thinking through 2025 for the podcast. I told you guys at the end of last season, I think, that I auditioned for a play. I got the call back for that play. Top billing baby, Anthony at the top. I had the number one on the call sheet from that play. First time auditioning for a play, but my ego carried me through that audition. I'm not going to lie. We all know this. And, but I had to, unfortunately, say, you know what? With all the different ventures I have going on and stuff that my kids, they have going on. I had big gymnastics stuff going on, and then the holidays, and it just a lot of traveling I'm going to be doing. I had to say, I'm thankful for the opportunity to be in this play, but unfortunately, I just can't at this time. So I had to withdraw myself before the actual rehearsals and stuff for the play started, and I am saddened about that. But hopefully, that now that I know I have the ability to do that in the future when things are a little bit more stable, and maybe my kids are older and they wouldn't require like a babysitter to go to rehearsals all the time with me if they didn't want to, then maybe that's something I could step back into in the future, but we'll see. So I had to kind of look at my capacity and assess that. The Christmas holidays happened, and it was a time for me. It was a time because I didn't have my kids, and how my custody works with my kids is I have week on, week off co-parenting with their mom. And so how holidays work, holidays kind of change depending on the year. So one year she has Christmas, next year I do, and then it switches back and off, and other holidays do that too. So it can be kind of interesting because if my holiday falls on her week, then I will still get the kids, at least for that holiday, in the middle of her week, right? And vice versa. If her holiday falls on one of my weeks, then I lose a little bit of the time with the girls that week because they go with their mom for that holiday. But there's times like Christmas where the holiday falls on the same week of the person whose week it was anyways. Like that's how it was for Christmas. So it was their mom's week and it was their mom's holiday. So that whole week they were just with their mom doing Christmas and holiday stuff. And so I talked to them pretty often. But I just didn't get to see them that whole week, and that was a bummer. It is what it is. What did I do? I spent some good time with some friends on Christmas. I got to sleep in, which was nice because I don't get to do that very often. So that was a little treat. And then I did get to FaceTime the girls and see all the millions of things that they got. They took me through their hauls, as they call them, and that was nice. But ultimately, I wasn't like sad or down on Christmas because I didn't have the girls. Like, obviously, it was a bummer not having them, but I think I mentally, I did a couple things. The weeks leading up to Christmas, we did a lot of cool stuff. The weekend before they went to their mom's house for Christmas, we did a lot with family, and my parents came to visit, and we did stuff. So I think that was pretty good, as I wasn't able to actually spend Christmas with them, but we still got the Christmas vibes throughout the month. And then I just mentally just prepared myself going into it, knowing that that was the case, and tried to find ways to stay positive through that day. Like I said, by being able to sleep in and take care of myself and go enjoy some friends, and just to kind of exhale a little bit, as I have been working on a lot of extracurricular stuff. It was nice to have that break where my phone wasn't blowing up for a million different things because the people who would be blowing up my phone were off for that day as well and spending time with their families. So that was pretty cool. But overall, I'm doing well. Overall, it was a good end to the year. I think it was a necessary end to the year because I think if I didn't end the year the way that I chose to end it, because I didn't have to end the year with as much stuff as on my plate as I ended up putting on my plate. I didn't have to. And again, well, I know I've said this like 5 times, but I'll talk about this more in depth next week. But the fact that I chose to step into some stuff, I'm very proud of. I'm very proud that I get to head into 2025 with some cool things to strive for and look forward to. And ultimately, I said the ultimate, why not? And then we're going for some stuff. So if you want to be a part of that journey, if you want to kind of hear what we got going on, we're going to keep yapping about the theme of this year. I forgot to say before, but the theme of this year for the show, at least for the next season, is going to be the world tour of the Single Parents Podcast. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to do like we did today. We're going to go around the interwebs. We're going to go around social media, the internet, and see what are other people saying about single parents, positive or negative. You've heard me yapping on this show for a good while now, so it's time to bring in some other perspectives like Brandon Jamal, like these people who create these posts on Facebook. We're just going to go around the internet and we're going to see what people are talking about when it comes to SPs, and we're going to break it down. We're going to share our thoughts. We're going to agree. We're going to disagree. We might debate all these things. We want you a part of that. So one more time, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're following the socials. Make sure that you are just here in it so we can do this thing. And then if you want to like really express your voice, like especially some of the stuff we're going to be bringing up might be controversial or you might have a hot take about, we have an email address for that. thesingleparentspodcast@gmail.com. That's thesingleparentspodcast@gmail.com. Send me your stuff. Send me your notes. Send me your thoughts. Send me your perspectives. And maybe we'll talk about it on a future episode of the show. All right, everybody. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Single Parents Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you all. We love you all. And until next time, you all out there, just stay beautiful. Bye.